As you can see, hi guys, yesterday I got 2 subscribers. Unknown people are subscribing to me. Yesterday's videos has 60 views. The girl whose videos used to get only 3 views or maybe 4 5 now has 60 views on her videos. I'm so happy. Today, I will explain pairs in an array using a simple Java example. First, understand what is a pair. A pair is when we take two different elements from an array and print them together. Now, look at this array 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Our goal is to print all possible pairs without repeating and without changing order, like this. Start by creating a method called pair. This method receives an integer array as input. Inside this method, we create a variable called TP. TP means total pairs. It will count how many pairs we are printing. Next, we use the first for loop. This loop selects the current element. For example, first it will select 2, then 4, then 6, and so on. We store these values in a variable called current. Then we use the second for loop. This loop start the next element, store the next element, not from the beginning. This is very important because it avoids duplicate pairs. For example, we print 2 4 but we do not print 4 2. Inside the inner loop we print the pair using brackets. After printing each pair, we increase the total pair count. After finishing one row, we move to the next line. At the end, we print the total number of pairs. In the main method, we create an array 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Then we call the pair method and pass this array. So, this program prints all the unique pairs for the array and also tell us how many pairs are possible. Now let's understand the time complexity of this program. First, remember what time complexity means. Time complexity tells us how much time a program takes as an input size increases. In our code, we are using two for loops. The outer loop runs for every element in the array. If the array has n elements, the outer loop runs n times. The inner loop runs for the remaining elements after the current one. So, for the first element, it runs n minus 1, then n minus 2, then n minus 3, and so on. So, the total number of operations become n minus 1, n minus 2, n minus 3, and n minus 4. So, this forms a series which is n into n minus 1 by 2. Because we are using nested loops, the time complexity is big O of n square for this code. That means this approach is fine for small arrays, but for large arrays it becomes slower. Now let's understand print subarrays. First, what is a subarray? A continuous part of an array is called subarray. For example, if the array is of 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, then valid subarrays are 2, 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. Now let's understand the code. We create a method called input subarray. This method takes an integer array as input. We also create a variable called ts, which means total subarray. Now let's look at the loop. The first loop decides the starting index of the subarray. The second loop decides the ending index of the subarray. So, using these two loops, we select every possible start and end point. Inside that, we use a third loop. This loop print all elements from start to end. This is why subarray are continuous. Inside that, we use a third loop. This loop print all elements from start to end. That is why subarrays are continuous. After printing one subarray, we increase the subarray count. At the end, we print the total number of subarrays. The formula of total subarray is n into n plus 1 by 2. For example, if n is 5, then n is 15. Total subarrays are 15. So this program prints all possible subarrays of an array. That's why all print subarrays. See, here we have 5 elements and the total subarrays are 15. Now I will explain maximum subarray using brute force approach. The goal here is simple. We want to find the subarray whose sum is maximum. First we create a variable called current sum. This stores sum of the current subarray. We also create maximum sum which stores the maximum sum found so far. Initially we started with the integer min value which we will set it to. We want to find the subarray whose sum is maximum. First we create a variable called current sum. This stores the sum of the current subarray. We also create max sum. This stores the maximum sum found so far. Initially we start it to the minimum possible integer variable. Now look at the loops. We again use 3 loops. The first loop select the starting index, the second loop select the ending index, and the third loop calculates the sum of element from start to end. Inside the third loop, we keep adding to current sum. If current sum is greater than maximum sum, we update maximum sum. Because we are checking every possible subarray, this method is called brute force. Now let's talk about its time complexity. As we are using 3 loops, first one this, then this, then this. Therefore, its time complexity is big O of n square, which is worst case. That's why this is called brute force approach. A prefix sum array stores the sum of element from index 0 to index I. The formula is prefix of I is equal to prefix of I minus 1 plus nums of I. Using the prefix sum array, we can calculate the sum of any subarray in a constant time. If the subarray starts at index 0, sum is equal to prefix end. If the sum array starts at any other index, sum is equal to prefix end minus prefix start minus 1. Let's understand this code. First we declare method. This method accepts an integer as input. Second, we initialize variable. First initialization is current sum and then max sum. Current sum is used to store the sum of the current subarray and maximum sum is used to store the maximum subarray sum found as far. We initialize maximum sum with integer min value to correctly handle arrays containing all negative values. Third, creating the prefix sum array. The first element of the prefix array is equal to the first element of the input array. Now, Calculating prefix sum. Each element of the prefix sum store the sum from index 0 to index I. The outer layer select the starting of the subarray. The inner loop select the ending index. This ensures that all possible subarrays are considered. Using the prefix array, the subarray is calculated. Here we have used ternary operator. If this condition is true, then this will run. If this is not true, then this will run. This is called ternary operator. And after that, we just print the maximum subarray. And the time complexity of this program is big O of n square. Why? Because here we are using two loops, this and this. Therefore, we are getting the time complexity of big O of n square, which is also not great. So to make the program work efficiently, we are now solving kadans algorithm. Kadans algorithm. Kadans algorithm is an optimized approach to solve the maximum subarray sum problem. The main idea is simple. If the current sum becomes negative, rest it to 0. A negative sum will only reduce the sum of the further subarray. We maintain two variables, CS as current sum and MS for maximum sum. Kadans algorithm, we only use a single loop. We add current sum is equal to current sum plus nums of I. Then we check if current sum is less than 0. If current sum is less than 0, then current sum is 0. And if current sum is not less than 0, then we can add it in the current sum. If current sum becomes negative, it is discarded. After that, update maximum sum. Maximum sum is equal to mat dot max CS and MS. This ensures that we always store the maximum subarray sum encountered so far. After that, we just print the max subarray. And the time complexity of this program is O big O of n. Hence, we are only using a single loop. Hence, this is the optimized approach for solving max subarray sum. Thank you. That's it for today. Hope you like this video. Bye bye.